When I turned 60, I lay weakly on a hospital bed, my body fragile from illness and countless surgeries. The doctors said I needed a family member's signature if I wanted any chance at survival. And that's when, after so many years apart, I finally saw him again, my estranged husband, Victor. He agreed to let the doctors continue my treatment, but his face, it was full of annoyance. I tried to reach for something, anything. I still want to be with our children, I told him, hoping for the slightest bit of warmth. But all I got was his cold, sharp voice. Damn it, Madeline. I really don't understand what you're still living for. If you hadn't forced me into that engagement all those years ago, I could have been with Lena by now. She's divorced, she's come back for me, and we're finally about to be together. Don't bother me anymore. I stared at him, stunned, watching as he signed the paper to end my treatment, then, with his own hands, pulled off my oxygen mask. But when I opened my eyes again, everything had changed. Somehow I was back in the 90s, standing in front of his house, watching Victor push and pull with Lena, just like before, painfully familiar. I took a deep breath, steadying my heart. This time, I'm breaking off the engagement. Let anyone who wants to play the perfect wife take my place. As for me, I'm seizing this era of change. I'm going to build my own future, become one of the first women to rise in business. I blinked, staring at the zodiac calendar on the wall. March, 1997. There was still a week left before the wedding. Panic surged through me. I rushed to the mirror, staring at the reflection of my young face, my hands still soft, untouched by years of sacrifice. My heart pounded in my chest. I hadn't stepped into that prison of marriage yet. I still had time. And just as I tried to settle my thoughts, I heard voices in the yard. Victor was there, holding Lena's hand so tightly it almost hurt to watch. His voice, filled with emotion. Lena, this time I'm never letting you go again. Losing you made me realize my mistake. Living my whole life with someone I don't love. It's torture. I won't wait until she's 60 to watch her die again. Not this time. I want to be with you. Now. Let's break off the engagement. I froze, staring at his youthful face. He's been reborn too. I remembered it so clearly, how, in my past life, he'd pulled off my oxygen mask with his own hands, then turned around and acted like the perfect grieving husband in front of others. I could still hear the doctors and nurses comforting him. Professor Victor, you and your wife went through so much together. We understand. It was for her sake, so she wouldn't suffer any longer. Please, accept our condolences. Everyone believed he was the perfect man, the loving husband, the respected scholar. But I knew the truth. Those tears, they weren't for me. He faked them, carried flowers to my bedside, played the part until the end. Then he rushed to the airport to meet the woman he'd loved his entire life. I could still see the petals from that bouquet, scattered, trampled on the ground, just like my life. I closed my eyes, letting the memory crush me all over again, my fists tightening at my sides. My parents, seeing me frozen in place, must have thought I was heartbroken. They immediately turned on him, furious. Victor, how could your family be so ungrateful? Because of this engagement, we gave you everything. When your mother was sick, I pulled her to the hospital through the snow. Madeline helped me. And now, you dare say you don't want her anymore. Victor and I, we had grown up together. Our marriage had been arranged by our grandfathers. His family had been dirt poor, living off loans and charity. My parents had helped them again and again, all because of that promise. Lena, standing next to him, looking ever so innocent, spoke softly, her voice full of fake concern. Victor, don't fight with Madeline because of me. Your mother's right. You should marry her. After all, your family owes hers. No matter how much I love you, I'll let you go. Her words sounded so selfless, so noble, but all they did was make him look at me with even more hatred. And then, his mother stormed over, breathless, her hand raised as if to slap him across the face. You ungrateful child. The Hartley family saved us. They saved me. If you break off this engagement, how will we ever show our faces again? But that slap, her hand raised in the air, never landed. She was waiting, just like she always did, expecting me to break down, rush over, and beg her to stop. How pathetic. If life had any sense of justice, I'd be the one slapping him right now, not standing here like some helpless fool. But this time, life had given me a second chance, and there's no way I'm playing the good, loyal wife ever again. Not for him, not for anyone. I'm going to live for myself. Fine, I said, my voice steady. I agree to break off the engagement. My words stunned not just him, but everyone standing around us. The whole neighborhood knew how much I'd adored him since we were kids. How could I let go so easily? He stared at me like he couldn't believe what he'd just heard. Madeline, do you really have the heart to end this? I let out a soft, bitter laugh. Of course it isn't easy. But what does that matter? And right on cue, Lena turned away, letting 2 perfectly timed tears fall from her eyes. If Madeline insists on holding on, if she refuses to bless us, then for your future, I'm willing to step back. Victor, let's break up. Victor was instantly moved. He pulled her into his arms like she was making the greatest sacrifice for him. Then he looked back at me, as if to say, "See? I knew you'd be like this." But he didn't stop there. His impatience showed all over his face. And I wasn't finished either. In that case, you'll need to repay the debt. I took a step forward, my voice cutting through the silence. All these years, my family, the Hartleys, supported yours because of this engagement. Now you want to walk away. Isn't it time you settled what you owe? He froze. He hadn't seen that coming. Back then, I would have given him everything, never asking for anything in return. He probably thought I was just using money to tie him back to me. His face twisted with disgust. He almost snapped an answer right there. But then, something stopped him. It hit him. Hard. It was 1997. He wasn't anyone important yet. Not a professor, not a scholar, and definitely not a man with money. I knew that, all too well. Then write me an IOU, I said coldly. I've already prepared everything. Pen, paper, it's all here. 2% monthly interest, 10 yen payments, every month, for 3 years. Pay it off on time. His mother, who'd lived off my family's kindness for years, suddenly hesitated. She tugged at his sleeve, lowering her voice. Son, how are we supposed to survive paying all that back? Say something nice to Madeline. Maybe she'll forgive us. In my past life, he'd always looked down on our family's small business, but when it came to taking our money, he never once hesitated. A man as proud as Victor, he'd rather die than admit he owed me anything. And now, in this life, he was no different. Without another word, he grabbed the pen and started writing. Don't say another word, Mother. I've already applied for the county's study abroad scholarship. I'll definitely be chosen. And when I come back, I'll have fame and respect. I won't even look at the Hartley family's dirty money. Lena leaned in, sweet as ever, her voice like honey. Victor, even if things are tough now, I don't mind. Even if Madeline refuses to help us anymore, I know you'll have a bright future. Her words hit him so hard, his eyes turned red. With a smirk, he shoved the IOU into my hand, chin raised like he'd already won. I'll pay you back, and you'd better remember, even without you, Madeline, I'll live just fine. I took the paper, ignoring his empty bravado. In my heart, I already knew my next move. In my past life, I loved business, but Victor called it small, shameful work, so I gave it up. I played the good wife, stayed home, cared for our family. But now I had a second chance, and this was the golden age of reform. Why shouldn't I chase the future I once let go? This time, I was living for me. And let's not forget, who do you think secured that scholarship for him last time? He had no idea how much I sacrificed just to make it happen. He couldn't wait to cut ties. He didn't even let the ink dry on the broken engagement. He rushed straight to marry Lena. Last time, I wore nothing but an old piece of red cloth to my wedding. No dress, no ceremony. But this time, he made it grand. He borrowed from every friend, every neighbor, just to buy her a proper wedding gown. The wedding parade filled the whole street, a showy, flashy display, marching all the way through town, before finally taking her home. Mrs. Grace, our neighbor, saw me standing there. She curled her lips and let out a long sigh. So ungrateful. Don't be fooled by how proud he looks now. He's drowning in debt behind the scenes, you know. Borrowed from everyone he could, promising to pay them double once he gets that overseas scholarship. But who knows if that's real, or just some pipe dream. She gently patted my arm, her voice kind. Don't be sad, Madeline. I'll introduce you to someone much better later on. Sad? I didn't even have time to be sad. The next 20 years would be a golden era of economic growth, and I was determined to seize that chance, to make as much money as I could. Who cares about a man like Victor? Just thinking about it gave me new energy. I pushed my merchandise out front with a bright smile. Thank you, Mrs. Grace. Look, these pants are all the rage in the South right now. Take a look and see if you like any. I'll give you a 20% discount. Tomorrow is the official grand opening, so bring everyone to support me, all right? Mrs. Grace broke into a wide smile, her eyes crinkling with delight. But that night, as I was sorting new stock, I didn't expect to see Victor and Lena walk into my shop. Victor smirked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Tsk, tsk. After all that hard work, and this tiny, shabby little store is all you've got. He turned to Lena with a chuckle. Come on, Lena. Pick something you like. I'll pay. I shot him a cold glance, my voice flat. My shop only accepts cash. No IOUs. His face darkened in an instant, his voice rising. You looking down on me? He turned back to Lena, puffing out his chest. Pick whatever you like. I'll pay. Cash. I kept my head down, marking sales in my ledger, my voice as cold as ice. Money you borrow never feels painful to spend, does it? But if I'm not mistaken, Lena, isn't your dance academy tuition due soon? Lena's hand, frozen midair with a pair of pants, slowly turned toward him. Victor, the tuition is 100 yuan, isn't it? He straightened up, still putting on an act. Buy whatever you want. I'll take care of it. Then he glared at me, his face full of contempt. Don't think that just because you've got a little money, you can make us bow to you. Not everyone is like you, Madeline. Not everyone stinks of money the way you do. I didn't get angry. If anything, I felt amused. I happily accepted their cash, counted the change, and packed their purchase with care. After all, who in their right mind turns down money? Not him. Not ever. Before leaving, he arrogantly tapped his fingers on my counter, chin raised high. Remember to come to the county meeting tomorrow. They'll announce the results of the overseas scholarship, along with a big grant. Whatever I owe you, I'll pay it all back in one go. Open your eyes, Madeline. Even without you, I'm doing just fine. As if he could have ever become a professor without me. But I showed no reaction. I simply nodded, as if none of it mattered. The next day, he wore his best Zhongshan suit, his entire body radiating confidence. Even the provincial officials were rumored to be attending. He couldn't wait to show the world his success. After all the whispers, the gossip, the humiliation of our broken engagement, and all his debts, he had endured it all just for this moment, the day he could clear his name. His mother had been bragging for weeks, telling everyone her son was about to go abroad. She'd even stuffed her pockets with candy, ready to hand it out the moment they announced his name. Neighbors huddled together, whispering and praising him. I've never even left the province, and Victor's already going overseas. Amazing. That's right. I heard when he comes back, he'll be a professor, doing research in the capital. Maybe we'll even see him on TV someday. Victor, don't forget about us when you're famous. The whole neighborhood's counting on you. All those compliments, they made him feel like he had already reached the top of the world, and when he saw me walk in, he raised his chin even higher, his smugness overflowing. Next time you see me, remember to call me Professor Victor. Just look at you. A small-time shopkeeper. How could someone like you ever deserve me? But I didn't get angry. I just smiled, my voice soft but sharp. Professor Victor, you might want to be careful with your words. It's not called illegal trading anymore. It's called business. He sneered, rolling his eyes. Humph, you're just good at arguing. Let me tell you this. From today on, no one will dare call me ungrateful again. All they'll know is that you, Madeline Hartley, you were never worthy of me. The meeting finally began. The endless speeches dragged on, stretching into what felt like forever, until they finally reached the moment everyone had been waiting for, the announcement of the scholarship winners. A voice echoed through the microphone, steady and clear, reading the names one by one. Jason Scott did not pass. Ryan Mitchell did not pass. Lucas Walker passed. The moment Victor heard that name, his smile widened. In my past life, only he and Lucas had made the list. For a brief second, it felt like fate was playing out the same way all over again, like nothing had changed. Thomas Reed did not pass. Victor Morgan. Every head in the hall turned toward him. Victor stood up slowly, adjusting his collar, standing tall and proud. Confidence oozed from every inch of his body. If he won this, he'd finally become what he had always dreamed of. Professor Morgan. Respected. Admired. The man at the top. All the gossip, the crushing debts, even Lena's unpaid tuition. It would all disappear, just like that. He took a step forward, his eyes sliding toward me, full of contempt, full of pride. But then, the voice continued. Did not pass. He froze, like time itself had stopped. His body stiffened, his breath caught in his throat. And then, his voice broke through the heavy silence. What? The announcer shifted awkwardly, clearing his throat as he repeated the result. Victor Morgan did not pass. We're sorry. Please, take your seat. But Victor didn't move, not even an inch. In the end, it was his mother, too ashamed to stay on display, who grabbed his arm and yanked him back into his seat. He nearly collapsed, his face ghostly pale, his whole body trembling, whispering the same words over and over again. No way. No way. When the meeting finally ended, he staggered toward the front of the room, rushing straight to Mr. Richard Taylor, the head of the review committee. Why wasn't I chosen? Why? My name was supposed to be on that list. Are you taking revenge on me because I ran against you for the party secretary position in my last life? He clung to Mr. Taylor's sleeve, crushing the fabric in his fists, throwing out wild accusations that made Mr. Taylor's expression darken with frustration. But the man still tried to explain. I don't know what kind of nonsense you're talking about. The results were based entirely on scores. There was only one spot, and Lucas Walker scored 1 point higher than you. That's why it went to him. Victor, second place is still a very good result. You should accept it with grace. But Victor couldn't accept it. He was spiraling, grabbing tighter, shouting louder. 1 spot? Not 2? That's impossible. In my last life, there were 2. How can I just accept this? My whole future depended on that scholarship. Check again. There has to be a mistake. But Mr. Taylor had had enough. With a single wave, he signaled the guards to remove Victor before he caused an even bigger scene. Victor struggled all the way to the door, only to find that his mother and all the neighbors who had come to brag about him had already slipped away, too embarrassed to face anyone. He ended up slumping against the wall, staring blankly at the scholarship results posted on the board. He laughed, then cried, and then laughed again. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his hair a complete mess. Every shred of dignity he had clung to, completely shattered. I stood there, quietly watching him fall apart. I waited until his madness burned itself out. And then, I stepped forward, my voice cold and steady. "Victor, do you know why you won that scholarship in our last life?" He froze. His eyes slowly widened, as if a nightmare had just come to life. "In our last life? Was it you?" I smiled softly, shaking my head, not answering. Not directly. Instead, I leaned in, my voice cutting like a knife. "There was only ever one spot, and in our last life, I begged Mr. Taylor to give you a chance, just because you came in second. I even offered to pay your tuition myself, just so you could go as a self-funded student." I paused, letting it sink in. I begged. I pleaded. I faced rejection after rejection, until they finally, reluctantly, agreed. "Did you really never wonder why the scholarship money was always handed directly to you?" Victor snapped back immediately, his voice trembling with rage. "Impossible. You're lying. I got in by my own ability. People only gossiped that I pulled strings because you interfered too much." I looked straight at him, calm, steady, completely unshaken. "The first month you went abroad, your stipend was 800 yuan. That was all my savings, scraped together over years. The second month, 815 yuan. You didn't want me running my shop, so I hauled coal, collected scraps, skipped meals, just to save every single penny for you. And the third month, he couldn't take it anymore. He snapped, his voice breaking apart. "Stop. I told you to stop. Liar, stop making things up." But the louder he shouted, the weaker his voice became, until it was barely more than a whisper, because deep down, he knew. All those years overseas, he never once wrote to me, not a single word. So how could I know every little detail, unless I was telling the truth? But his pride, so fragile, so pathetic, couldn't handle it. He had always been proud, ever since we were kids. And because of that pride, I had buried everything. I let the world believe I was nothing. And yet, when he came back, all he saw was some shallow, uneducated woman. He mocked me for caring about money. He looked down on me for not having a degree. He wouldn't even let me step into his study. And in the end, when I was lying on my deathbed, struggling for every breath, it was him, the man I had loved for a lifetime, who pushed me straight into the abyss. My chest tightened with every memory, all the bitterness I had carried. Too heavy, too deep, impossible to put into words. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I just let the pain fall, quietly, as steady, burning tears. "Victor Morgan, everything you're suffering now, this is your punishment. You deserve every bit of it." I turned my back on him, ready to walk away for good. But before I could take more than 2 steps, his voice rang out behind me, loud, desperate, still clinging to his last bit of arrogance. "You think this is enough to make me bow to you? Keep dreaming. Even without you, even if I never become a professor, I'll still succeed. Lena Carter is beautiful, gentle, a trained dancer, way better than you could ever be. Just wait. This life, you'll never be worthy of me." I let out a soft breath. "That's fine. I'll wait and see for myself." Later that day, Mrs. Grace leaned in, whispering like she was sharing the biggest secret of her life. "Madeline, I know someone at the Women's Federation. A nice boy in the publicity department. How about meeting him this weekend?" I smiled softly, slipping a pair of socks into her hand. "Mrs. Grace, my CD and tape shop just opened. I don't have the time or the energy for dating right now. But thank you for always looking out for me and for always supporting my little shop. These are new socks from Guangzhou. Try them, see if they're comfortable." She let out a click of her tongue, playfully flicking my forehead. "You little rascal. But honestly, it's for the best. Thank goodness you didn't marry that Victor Morgan. Otherwise you'd be stuck. and you wouldn't have the life you do now." Then she leaned in again, lowering her voice to a hushed whisper. "Did you see him that day, calling everyone over to watch him receive that scholarship? And in the end, he didn't even get it. What a joke. He already borrowed money from everyone, promising to pay them back after he won. And now, he's stuck as a primary school teacher, earning just 50 yen a month. No one knows when he'll ever pay back those debts. People even offered him side jobs, but he turned his nose up at them, acting like he was too good for honest work, even when his family's about to starve. Some people never learn." And just as she said that, there he was, Victor Morgan, walking straight into my shop. He didn't say a word, just slammed his hand on the counter and snapped, "Madeline, come out here for a second." What? Just because he called, I had to come running, like I was still his maid? I didn't even bother looking up. My voice stayed cold and sharp. "I'm busy with customers. Say what you need to say. Right here." He clearly hadn't expected me to shut him down so coldly. For a moment, he stood there, speechless. Finally, after a long pause, he awkwardly opened his briefcase, pulled out a plastic bag, and inside was the very same pair of jeans he had bought for Lena Carter. "Return these for me." I finally glanced up, my voice as flat as ever. "I can't. The tag's been cut. They've already been worn and washed." But he still refused to give up. Victor glared at me, his voice sharp and filled with indignation. "Why can't you take these jeans back? She's only worn them a couple of times. What's the big deal, Madeline? Don't tell me you're holding a grudge just because you couldn't have me, and now you're taking it out on me." Before I could even open my mouth, Mrs. Grace stormed up to the counter, hands on her hips. She jabbed a finger right at his face, letting him have it without holding back. "Victor Morgan, do you even know what shame is? Who buys pants, wears them, and then comes crawling back, demanding a refund? You think just because Madeline's kind-hearted, you can bully her for money, calling it bitterness, spite? Where do you get the nerve? She's running 2 shops now, about to be a millionaire. There are plenty of people who'd kill for a chance to know her. Thank God you were stupid enough to break off the engagement yourself. If she'd actually married you, who knows how deep you would have dragged her down." The moment Mrs. Grace spoke, the whispers started. Neighbors began murmuring all around us, and Victor's face turned bright red with shame. He clenched his jaw, then grabbed my wrist and yanked me toward the back alley, dragging me out of sight before finally letting go. His voice dropped cold. "Fine. If you won't take the jeans back, then at least pay Lena's tuition." I laughed, sharp, bitter, amused. "And why? Should I? Am I her mother?" He snapped right back, slipping into that old, self-righteous tone I knew all too well. "But in our last life, you always gave her money. You owe her. You ruined her future. She couldn't get into the dance academy because of you. You should make it up to her." I rolled my eyes, not even bothering to hide my disgust. "First of all, you were the one taking money from my family to support her, and every time I dared to complain, you'd glare, sulk, until I gave in. I swallowed it all, for the sake of the family, for the kids, while you let her bleed us dry." I took a step closer, my voice cold and steady. "Second, her foot injury had nothing to do with me. She tripped, on her own, and the hospital said her leg was fine." I crossed my arms. "And third, with her dancing at the bottom of her class, only someone as blind as you would believe she ever had a shot at passing that exam." But Victor, of course, jumped to her defense without thinking. "Don't slander Lena just to clear yourself. She was the best in her class. She could have passed. Lena's nothing like you. She's elegant, cultured. She understands me. If you hadn't gotten in the way, we would have been together a long time ago. At least, she divorced her husband for me. She really loved me." I couldn't take it anymore. I cut him off, my words slicing through him like ice. "Divorced? You're living in a fantasy, Victor. Lena Carter didn't go abroad to marry anyone. She went to latch onto some rich businessman as his mistress. And when she got old and useless, he dumped her. She came crawling back here, just in time to see you with a bit of status, and you actually bought that whole "I left so you could be happy" act. God, you're pathetic. I leaned in, my voice dropping low, cutting even deeper. This time, her foot has nothing to do with me. Let her take the exam. Let's see what happens. I gave him one last look. And if you really believe she's so pure and loyal, why don't you find out for yourself? See how she treats you now that you've got nothing. Victor's hands tightened around the jeans. His jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might snap. You're lying. Lena isn't like that. I'll prove it to you. Just you wait. I didn't know where he managed to scrape the money from, but somehow, he pulled it together, enough to pay for Lena's exam. On the day the results were posted, I was at the market, stocking new merchandise for my 2-story shop. Business was booming, and my life was only getting busier. That's when Mrs. Grace's grandson came running in, out of breath, panic all over his face. "Sis Maddie, hurry! My mom needs help. Grandma and Mom, they're trying to break up a fight, and it's getting ugly. If you don't come now, someone's gonna get hurt." I didn't think twice. I rushed after the boy, following him all the way to the commotion. When I arrived, I couldn't believe my eyes. Victor's mother and Lena Carter, locked in a vicious fight. Mrs. Grace tried to hold Victor's mother back, but the old woman thrashed wildly, jabbing her finger in Lena's face, screaming, "You little vixen, all you ever do is waste money on clothes. You've ruined this family. Caked in makeup every day. Who are you trying to impress, huh? You don't lift a finger around the house, acting like some damn queen. Victor, why the hell did you marry this disaster?" But Lena didn't back down. She snapped, "He married me because he wanted to. And I'm a dancer. How can you expect a dancer to ruin her hands cooking and scrubbing laundry?" That made the old woman explode. She lunged, grabbing Lena by the hair, yanking with all her strength, shrieking, "You pawned the house to pay your damn tuition, and now you dare claim you passed the exam? Do you feel no shame? To my son? To this family? If I hadn't caught you fooling around with that foreigner by the river, Victor would still be clueless, living with a cheater under his own roof." They tore into each other, screaming, scratching, pulling, until the police finally arrived to drag them apart and force the crowd to settle down. Victor stood frozen, right in the center of the chaos, his face burning red with humiliation and rage. "What is wrong with you two? Are you trying to humiliate me? How the hell am I supposed to face anyone after this?" His mother rushed to him, sobbing, grabbing his arm like it was her last hope. "My boy, you're finally home. That woman, she's cheating on you. I saw it myself. Now she's packing her things, leaving us drowning in debt. She's found herself a rich man, and she's ready to cut ties with us like we're nothing. God help us. Where's the justice?" But Victor didn't even look at her. His eyes locked on Lena, dark as a storm. "Lena Carter, you told me you failed the exam because you were too stressed, but I went to the academy. The teachers said you skipped 2 out of every 3 classes. Your grades were terrible, and you were far too close to that foreign student. You weren't even in the top of your class. It was Sarah Green. She was number 1. You've been lying to me, haven't you?" Lena's face twisted with fury, and then she broke. "So you went digging into my business, did you? Fine. Since you already know, I won't pretend anymore." She crossed her arms, eyes filled with contempt. "Everything your mother said. True. Everything you just accused me of. True. But none of it is my fault." Her voice dropped, cold as ice. "Didn't you promise you'd become a professor, go abroad, win a scholarship, build us a future? That's why I chose you." She stepped closer, sneering. "Look at me. How do you think I've been living since marrying you? Sure, the wedding looked grand, but every cent of that bride price was borrowed. The day you got paid, the creditors were already banging on our door, ready to take the stove. We couldn't afford meat, we couldn't afford fat, and the only dress I had, You tried to return it for a refund. She leaned in, voice dripping with venom. Men like you, poor and proud, nothing but an empty shell, too arrogant to work a real job, too busy chasing your daydreams of being some great scholar. Marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. Victor stood there, shattered, eyes desperate. Was I really that bad? I borrowed to pay your tuition. I paid all your expenses. Lena, you said you didn't care about money. You said we'd make it through together. You said one day we'd have a better life, didn't you? But Lena only let out a cruel snort. She leaned in close, her voice like steel. You actually believed that nonsense? If you have no money, how the hell are you ever going to give me a better life? I'm telling you now, just a few days from now, I'll be leaving the country with my man. He's a wealthy businessman in the US, owns his own factory. Let's get divorced as soon as possible. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. With that, Lena shoved Victor's hand away and walked off. No hesitation, not even a glance back. That wretched woman! Victor's mother was shaking with rage, her finger stabbing the air where Lena had just stood. She cheats on my son, leaves us drowning in debt, and now she just walks away like that? Her fury only built with every word, until her chest began to heave, her breathing turned shallow, and her whole body started to tremble violently. An asthma attack. I stepped forward, ready to help, but she suddenly clutched my wrist tight, and when she spoke again, her voice had changed, sweet, syrupy, calculating. Madeline, it's all that shameless Lena Carter's fault. If she hadn't seduced Victor, you two would have been married long ago. You really are a good girl, child. People show their true hearts when they're suffering, and you've proven yours. You're still single, aren't you? She gave a coy smile. Well, I've made up my mind. Once Victor divorces that tramp, you'll marry him instead. I heard your store's doing great. Maybe someday I'll even help you out behind the counter, I almost laughed out loud. The math in her head was practically written across her forehead. Whatever pity I had for her evaporated in an instant. I shook off her hand, my voice flat and sharp. That's not happening. I'm not single because I'm waiting for Victor. I'm not married because I don't want to be married. It has nothing to do with him. I looked her dead in the eye. As for the two of us, there is nothing between us. Not now. Not ever. So stop dreaming. Then, just to twist the knife, I smiled. In fact, I would never marry a man who's already been divorced. Their faces turned ghost white, and honestly, it felt good to watch. Chin high, I gave a cold smirk, then turned and walked away. The next day, he showed up at my CD shop, with a bowl of chicken soup in his hands. I didn't see you at the clothing store, he said, so I figured you'd be here. I made some soup. Mum says it's delicious, so I brought you a bowl to try. I didn't even reach for it. My voice was frost. No need. Drink it yourself. Don't turn it down, he muttered. Just think of it as a way to thank you. Or maybe to make up for the things I did wrong, in this life and the last. I gave him a smile, cold, ironic, cruel. Thank me? You think I'd dare accept that? Have you already forgotten how many times you mocked me once you got a little success? I stared him down. You said you only married her to repay a debt, that a woman like me, who only knows how to do business and can't even read, wasn't worthy of you. I leaned in, voice razor sharp. If you really feel guilty, then stay away from me. I don't want your soup. I don't want your gratitude. I don't want anything to do with you ever again. And then I added, sweet as poison. Don't let the smell of my money-loving self pollute a self-righteous saint like you. He lowered his head, his face burning with shame. I don't know how long he stood there, but by the time I looked up again, he was gone. I turned to Annie, my assistant, and said simply, if he shows up again, don't let him in. But he didn't stop. day after day. He lingered outside my stores, trying to catch a glimpse, hoping for another chance. Thank God my team knew what to do. They kept him out, just like I asked. But a week later, he finally cornered me by the back stockroom. The moment he saw me, the words rushed out. "Madeline, I'm sorry. I know I should have said this a long time ago. I've always been proud, too proud, and you've seen me at my worst, my most pathetic. So deep down, I blamed you, like I was lashing out at the part of myself I hated most." He swallowed hard, voice shaking. "Now I finally understand. I was wrong, so wrong." He stepped closer. "You're the only one who ever truly cared about me. You took care of everything. You even gave me children." His eyes shimmered with something almost human. I realized it all too late, but I swear, this time, I'll cherish you. I'll treat you the way you deserved all along. Please, believe me. I promise. I'll be good to you. And standing there, listening to that apology, it felt like it came from another world. Lena crossed her arms, looking him dead in the eye. "I'm telling you now, just a few days from now, I'll be leaving the country with my man. He's a wealthy businessman in the US, owns his own factory. Let's get divorced as soon as possible. I don't want anything to do with you anymore." With that, she shoved Victor's hand away and walked off. No hesitation, not even a glance back. That wretched woman! Victor's mother was shaking with rage, stabbing her finger in the air where Lena had just disappeared. "She cheats on my son, leaves us drowning in debt, and now she just walks away like that?" Her fury only built with every word, until her breathing turned shallow, her body trembling violently. An asthma attack. I stepped forward, ready to help. But she grabbed my wrist tight, and just like that, her voice changed. Sweet, syrupy, disgustingly fake. "Madeline, it's all Lena Carter's fault. If she hadn't seduced Victor, you two would have married long ago. You're such a good girl. You've proven your heart is true. You're still single, aren't you?" She gave me a sly smile. "Well, I've made up my mind. Once Victor divorces that tramp, you'll marry him instead. I heard your store's doing great. Maybe someday I'll even help you out at the counter, I almost laughed. Her plan was written all over her face. Whatever pity I had for her, gone in an instant. I shook off her hand, my voice flat. "Number. That's not happening. I'm not single because I'm waiting for Victor. I'm single because I choose to be. It has nothing to do with him." I locked eyes with her. As for the two of us, there's nothing left. Not now. Not ever. So stop dreaming. And just to twist the knife, I smiled. In fact, I would never marry a man who's already been divorced. Their faces turned ghost white. And honestly, it felt good to watch. I raised my chin, gave them one last cold smirk, and walked away. The next day, Victor showed up at my CD shop, holding a bowl of chicken soup. "I didn't see you at the clothing store," he said, trying to sound casual. "So I figured you'd be here. I made some soup. Mom says it's delicious, so I brought you a bowl to try." I didn't even look at it. "No need. Drink it yourself." He shifted awkwardly. "Don't turn it down. Just think of it as a way to thank you. Or maybe, to make up for the things I did wrong. In this life, and the last." I gave him a cold, ironic smile. "Thank me. You think I'd dare accept that? Have you forgotten how you mocked me the moment you got a little success?" I leaned in, voice razor sharp. "You said you married her to pay back a debt. You said a woman like me, who only knows how to do business and can't even read, wasn't worthy of you." I stepped closer. "If you really feel guilty, then do me a favor. Stay away from me. I don't want your soup. I don't want your gratitude. I don't want anything from you. Ever again." And just for good measure, I leaned in a little closer. "Don't let the smell of my money-loving self pollute a self-righteous saint like you." He lowered his head, burning with shame. I didn't even watch him leave. Turning to Annie, I said softly, "If he shows up again, don't let him in." But he didn't give up. Day after day, he hovered outside my stores, trying to catch a glimpse. Thank God my team knew better. They kept him away, just like I told them to. But a week later, he finally cornered me by the stockroom. The moment he saw me, the words came tumbling out. "Madeline, I'm sorry. I should have said this a long time ago. I've always been too proud, and you've seen me at my worst. So deep down, I took it out on you, like I was fighting the part of myself I hated most." He swallowed hard. "Now I finally understand. I was wrong. So wrong." He stepped closer, his voice trembling. "You're the only one who ever truly cared about me. You took care of everything. You even gave me children." His eyes, they actually shimmered. "I realized it all too late, but I swear I'll cherish you this time. I'll treat you the way you deserved all along. Please, believe me. I promise. I'll be good to you." And standing there, listening to those words, it felt like they were coming from a stranger, from a world that no longer belonged to me. They spoke of me with pride in the county, calling me the woman who funded the very first paved road in the region. I never said a word about it. I just smiled, helping my parents try on their new clothes, fastening bracelets on my mother's wrist, watching her laugh softly, pretending they were too heavy. In my past life, I was nothing more than a housewife, always dependent on Victor Morgan, always watching every penny, never able to buy even a decent gift for my parents, let alone take care of them. But now, with money of my own, I didn't have to look at anyone's face for approval. I had one purpose, giving my parents the very best. "Enough, Madeline. This bracelet is too heavy for me. I can't wear it," my mother protested gently. But I just smiled and placed it back on her wrist. "Just wear it, Mom. It's from your daughter. All from the heart." In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. Maybe because this life had been so full, so complete, I had almost forgotten the pain of the past. That day, I brought my daughter back to visit my parents. As soon as we arrived in the old town, I caught sight of a figure I never thought I'd see again. A man with a limp, pushing a cart of roasted sweet potatoes. Victor Morgan. Older now, grayer, smaller. But I recognized him instantly. "Mom, the cafeteria never sells sweet potatoes after school. I miss them so much," my daughter complained, tugging at my arm. I laughed softly, pulled the car over, and walked her over to the cart. Victor didn't recognize me at first. His back was hunched, his hair streaked with gray, his rough hands pulling sweet potatoes from the oven with nothing but resignation. His clothes were worn thin, his body weighed down by dust and fatigue. This man, the one who had once so heartlessly ripped the oxygen tube from my face, now stood in front of me, barely holding himself together. When our eyes met, he flinched, hurriedly pulling his old hat lower, as if trying to hide. "Madeline, it's been a long time." I nodded nothing more and turned to leave, but he stopped me, pushing the sweet potatoes into my daughter's hands. "Take them. No charge. It's my gift. For her." And right then, I heard the voice I loved most in this world, calling me from behind. "Honey." I turned, and there was Liam Hayes, my husband, carrying the biggest bouquet I'd ever seen, smiling like the world itself belonged to us. "I just got off the plane and rushed straight here. I was afraid my beautiful wife might be upset if I was late. Happy anniversary, sweetheart." I shook my head as I accepted the flowers, teasing him. "Why the rush? It's just another ordinary day. Look at you. Your eyes are all puffy from traveling." Our daughter giggled. "Dad, you're getting old and still so romantic." "Mom, how do you put up with this?" Liam beamed, pretending to pout. "Oh, so now that we have a daughter, I'm forgotten already. Let me tell you, young lady, your mother will always be my little girl." He turned back to Victor, pulled out a bill, and handed it over with a smile. 15 yuan for 4 sweet potatoes. I've only got a 20. Keep the change. It's our anniversary after all. Everyone should celebrate. The people around us started whispering, "That's real love, isn't it?" Even after all these years, they're still like newlyweds. I heard every word, but I never looked back. I saw Victor's eyes turn red, but the three of us, my family, left him standing there, alone, next to that cart of sweet potatoes. I passed the bouquet to Liam with a grin. "Hold these for me, will you? Let's go to the supermarket. You promised you'd cook Coca-Cola chicken tonight." Our daughter cheered, "Dad's showing off his cooking again." I laughed, squinting at the bright flowers in my hands, because in this life, every single flower was given to me by the man who truly loved me. And unlike the past, this time, I was loved exactly the way I had always deserved.